Hello, exceptionals. Great to have you back. If your budget could speak, would it tell a story of growth or just survival? A budget is like a garden. If you only focus on the flowers, that's the fancy project, and forget the roots, which represent your basic needs, it won't thrive. A recent survey revealed that 70% of school leaders struggle with balancing innovative projects and essential needs. Wow, what a thought provoking revelation. This is because such budgeting without strategy is like building a house without a foundation. You might put up walls, but they won't stand for long. Welcome to Excel, the place where the exceptionals come to get better every day. I am Juliet Igwe, an education consultant and a leadership coach. Today we are diving into how strategic financial planning can transform your school's impact no matter the budget. I will also offer practical steps to make school budgeting more purposeful and results driven. So you need to stay with me until the end. Now imagine a school principal who is thrilled about upgrading the school's tech setup. They go all out, investing in interactive whiteboards and new projectors. On the first day of the new term, teachers gather excitedly to use the new tech. But then reality hits. While they have the latest gadgets, the school's basic infrastructure is still struggling. Some classrooms lack proper seating and the old leaky roof hasn't been fixed. It's tech innovation meeting everyday challenges. You know, my friends, sometimes in our enthusiasm to make progress, we look beyond the essentials. Strategic financial planning ensures that we balance ambition with practicality. Why? Because budgeting isn't just about numbers. It's about building a future where every decision counts. Picture two schools with the same budget. One invests in impactful programs and thrives. The other struggles to make basic needs. The difference here is strategic planning. Many school leaders focus on spending rather than strategically investing, leading to missed opportunities for meaningful change. So it's not just about allocating funds. It's about aligning every naira and kobo with your mission and long-term goals. Let's talk briefly about the mindset shift that we need to have as far as making impactful budgeting is concerned. One of the most significant changes that school leaders need to make when it comes to financial planning is shifting their mindset from budgeting for survival to budgeting for impact. Let me explain. Survival budgeting is a mindset that is characterized by reactive short-term fixes. Leaders operating with this mindset will focus on immediate challenges, like patching holes as they appear. The goal is simply to make it through the next term or year without major crisis. Examples here include cutting programs without evaluating long-term effects, or focusing solely on reducing expenses without assessing the impact on student outcome. In survival mode, decisions are often made under pressure and resources are stretched thin. But for impactful budgeting mindset, it's a proactive and purpose-driven mindset focused on long-term growth and sustainability. Instead of reacting to problems as they arise, school leaders that adopt this mindset will plan strategically, investing in initiatives that align their school's vision and mission. It's about making intentional choices that drive positive outcomes for students and the entire school community. Examples here include investing in teacher training to improve instructional quality or allocating funds to build sustainable infrastructure that reduces costs in the long run. Leaders who practice impact budgeting mindset will evaluate not just what they can afford now, but how today's investments will pay off in the future. Why does this mindset shift matter so much? When leaders see budgets not just as a collection of expenses, but as a strategic tool for growth, their financial decision becomes more impactful. Instead of constantly playing defense, trying to stay afloat, they take charge of their school's financial destiny. And by embracing this mindset, these school leaders can now focus on creating values rather than merely covering costs. The goal becomes not just maintaining operations, but actively driving school improvement. So the key point I want you to take away from here is when your budget aligns with your vision, every financial decision becomes a step towards transformation. I hope you got that. This particular mindset shift will transform the way you as a school leader think about money, from just balancing the books to intentionally using funds to achieve long-term goals. It's about moving from surviving to thriving. Hello, my friends. If you are yet to subscribe to this channel, you are missing out. Hit that subscribe button so that you never miss out on the top-notch leadership nugget that we share here every week. Now, let's talk about the practical steps to strategic financial planning. Step 1 is to define your vision and your priorities. Clearly outline your school's mission and long-term goals. Then you prioritize spending areas based on impact rather than tradition. You can use questions like, what outcomes do we want to achieve? How can our financial decisions support these outcomes? This is your first step. And if you are clear with this first step, you go over to the next step, which is to involve your stakeholders. Collaborate with teachers, the staff, the parents, the community members to identify needs that is really bugging the school. How will you achieve this? Conduct surveys, focus groups, or workshops for diverse perspectives. You need to engage your stakeholders to get the buy-in that will ensure the budget reflects the real needs of your school community. And that takes you to the next step, which is step 3. Analyze past budget. Look at what had happened before, review your past spending, and evaluate what worked and what didn't work. Then you identify recurring expenses and areas that consumed more resources than anticipated. Then ask yourself these critical questions. What investments yielded the most significant impact? Which areas need rethinking? Very important. So that takes you to the next step, which is step 4. Make data-driven decisions. Use your performance data to justify budget changes. You don't just change the budget because you feel like it has to be data-driven. Consider metrics like student performance, community feedback, or cost per student. Establish SMART budget goals so that you can be as specific, measurable, achievable, and relative time-bound as possible as far as your budgeting is concerned. And now you go to step 5. Create a flexible financial plan. Allocate funds based on priority areas, but allow for adjustment. You need to be flexible. Implement contingency plans for unexpected expenses or emergencies. The tip I want to give you here is that you need to be flexible, because flexibility means your budget can adapt to changing needs without sacrificing the core priorities. Then step 6, monitor and measure impact. Track your spending against intended outcomes regularly. Create a feedback loop where teachers and staff report on the effectiveness of funded projects. Use metrics like student performance, teacher satisfaction, and program success to measure this impact. This is very, very important. And aside all of this, you could still have some pitfalls. And that's why I want to bring a few pitfalls that you need to avoid when you are creating this budget. Because even with the best intentions, school leaders can still fall into common financial planning traps that hinder long-term success. So let's explore some of them. The first one is overestimating short-term gains. The trap you might fall into here is that, you often get excited about quick wins, projects that promise immediate results, or flashy upgrades that create a buzz. We like buzzes in our schools. But unfortunately, the problem is that this initiative might provide a temporal boost, but often fail to address deeper, more systematic challenges. And as a result, the positive impact may be short-lived or unsustainable. Example could be where a school invests heavily in a new sports facility without planning for long-term maintenance costs. After the initial excitement, the facility becomes a financial burden. We don't want that. How can you avoid it? Focus on initiatives that deliver long-term values. Before investing, ask, how will this project impact our school in the next 3 to 5 years? Are we prepared to maintain or support this investment over time? Does this align with our strategic vision? Answering these questions and discussing it in your leadership team will help you to gain clarity on whether to invest or not. The second pitfall could be neglecting long-term sustainability. School leaders fall into this trap of, where you are focused on making big changes now, that you overlook how those changes will be sustained in the future. The problem is that investing heavily without a sustainability plan can drive resources, can drain your resources and lead to program discontinuation once the initial funds are exhausted. Example here could be launching a new technology integration program without training teachers or planning for device maintenance. After a year, the equipment becomes outdated and teachers revert to old methods. The cycle continues. How can you avoid this? Think beyond the initial rollout. Consider the life cycle cost and maintenance. By creating a sustainability plan for every significant investment, involve your stakeholders in planning to anticipate challenges. Then set aside a portion of the budget for ongoing support and updates. Number 3 pitfall could be, lack of stakeholder input. The trap here is that leaders sometimes make budget decisions in isolation, focusing only on administrative priorities without involving teachers, staff, or parents. But the problem with this is that it can result in funding projects that don't meet the real needs of the school community, which might lead to wasted resources and resistance from staff. Example here could be allocating funds to an after-school program without consulting teachers, only to find out that staff availability and student interest are lower than expected. How can you avoid this? Engage your stakeholders early in the budgeting process through surveys, meetings, or focus groups. Then regularly communicate the budget decisions and the rationale behind them. Be open to feedback and willing to adjust plans based on input. Remember, we said that you have to be flexible. And when stakeholders feel heard, they are more likely to support and champion budget initiatives. So make sure you involve them. And the fourth pitfall is no follow-up. Implementing budget plans without tracking their effectiveness or assessing whether the intended outcomes were achieved could be a trap for school leaders. The problem here is that this lack of follow-up means leaders will miss opportunities to learn from successes and failures, leading to repeating mistakes. Example here could be investing in a new curriculum without gathering feedback from teachers or tracking improvement in student performance. How can you avoid this? Set clear metrics for success before implementing any budget initiative. Very important. Then monitor progress regularly and adjust the plan as needed. Gather feedback from those directly impacted and make data-driven adjustment. Remember to treat budgeting as an ongoing process, not a one-time task. So your key takeaway from this section is to avoid these common pitfalls. It requires a balanced approach. It requires planning for the long term while being mindful of immediate needs. It requires involving stakeholders in meaningful ways and consistently evaluating the impact on financial decisions. So, my friend, as we wrap up, here is your call to action. Reflect on your current budgeting approach in line with the insights shared in this video, and start thinking about your budget as an investment in the school's future. Budgeting isn't just about balancing numbers. It's about shaping the future of education. Start budgeting for impact today. Give us a thumbs up if you got value from this video. Share your thoughts in the comment section and subscribe for more leadership insights every week. Till we see you again in our next video, stay blessed.